Okay, welcome back to another episode of We Don't Know What to Watch. And joining me, as always, is the illustrious, the wonderful, the Tom Servo to my Crow T robot, Kyle Mulford, and I'm Noah Saturn.
I wish I were as funny as those guys.
Well, you're funny looking, so at least there's that.
Well, I'll go with it. Anyway, we'll start real quick here, and we'll go straight into my Kyle's Quickies. This is where I go over all the movies I've seen this week and give you a quick review, quick synopsis, and then rent it, stream it, or skip it. The first thing I saw, Goodbye Christopher Robin, directed by Simon Curtis. He directed My Week with Marilyn, Woman in Gold. This one has Donald Gleason.
Donald Gleason. I don't know how to pronounce his name.
And Margot Robbie. It was about Margot Robbie. It was about A.A. Milne and writing Winnie the Pooh. This director does a good job with solid, true stories. My Week with Marilyn, Woman in Gold. They were both good movies. This was a good movie. They're solid but forgettable movies, so I'm just going to give this one a stream it, because if you're interested in the Winnie the Pooh story. The next one I saw was The Star, an animated movie from, I believe, Sony Animation. A donkey and his friends protect Mary and Joseph from King Herod's assassins so Jesus can create Christmas by being born.
The word of the Lord.
This is the only feature movie directed by Timothy Reckart.
And this is animated. It is not live action.
Yeah, animated feature, but it's the only animated or otherwise that he's directed that's feature length. Let me tell you who all's in this. Stephen Yeun from Walking Dead, which I actually liked him in that. Keegan-Michael Key, Gina Rodriguez, Zachary Levi, Christopher Plummer, Ving Rhames, Gabriel Iglesias, Kelly Clarkson, Anthony Anderson, Patricia Keaton, Chris Christopherson, Kristen Chenoweth, Mariah Carey, Oprah Winfrey, Tyler Perry, Tracy Morgan, and, because it's a religious movie, Joel Osteen, and everyone's favorite radio show host, Delilah.
Everyone loves Delilah.
Who's Delilah? Have you never heard the Delilah show?
No.
Oh, she's this woman that does a radio show at night, and she talks about the good things in life, and she talks like this, and it's a very calming show, and then she puts on music that's everybody loves.
And I'm asleep.
Exactly. Well, you could probably fall asleep to The Star too. It was cute. I watched it with my kids, and they enjoyed it. And it's a stream it if you have kids. It's a harmless movie to watch, and it's a Christian movie. But that's actually got some good moments in it. Next one I watched was Mom and Dad. If this gives you an idea, it's directed by Brian Taylor, who also directed Crank High Voltage, Gamer, and Ghost Rider: Spirit of Vengeance. And these are the only movies he's directed.
But what movies?
What's that?
But what movies they are.
And there's something, all right.
They are certainly something.
So Nicolas Cage and Selma Blair are Mom and Dad. And
Nicolas Cage plays Mom. He's
got
range.
He's got so much range. Something happens in the town they live in, and all of the moms and dads decide to kill their children. They get this rage in them. And they only go after their own children. It's never explained. You don't know why, but
who cares?
But this is so much fun because Nicolas Cage goes full Nicolas Cage in some scenes.
The full Cage rage?
Where he's destroying a pool table singing, "You put your right foot in, you put your left foot."
So he does the hokey pokey.
He does the hokey pokey while destroying a pool table with a sledgehammer.
Oh, Nicolas Cage.
And Lance Henriksen.
That's Academy Award winner Nicolas Cage.
Academy Award winner Nicolas Cage. And then Lance Henriksen, Bishop himself, also Mr. from Pumpkinhead.
Yeah, the Pumpkinhead guy. Joe Pumpkinhead.
He plays Nicolas Cage's dad. So this is basically Nicolas Cage mostly going the most crazy and trying to kill his kids.
And Selma Blair, too.
And Selma Blair as the mom, and she goes crazy too, and she gets some scenes where she gets to drive a coat hanger through the daughter's boyfriend's cheek, which was kind of gross and interesting.
It's just the boyfriend.
And you'll find that the whole movie stems down to, I'm going to spoil this because it's just a crazy movie anyway. The whole movie boils down to the very end, the punchline, which is the mom and dad are tied up in the basement, and the kids are going, "I don't know if you can trust you." And Nicolas Cage and Selma Blair are going, "Oh, we love you so much, but sometimes we just wanna and then cut to black. So
Nice.
it was all the punchline of that phrase that people, sometimes I just wanna.
Oh, you dang kids!
You dang kids. It should be a skip it, but I'm going to give it a stream it if you're into crazy Nicolas Cage, because
And who isn't?
he gives a good performance as crazy in this. Next one is a 1973 French animated film called Fantastic
I
Planet.
have seen this movie.
You have seen this movie.
It is weird.
These blue giants on this planet, and then there's these little tiny humanoid people, and the blue giants treat them like animals, and they
Almost like pets.
as like pets, and it works as an allegory for like the treatment of how humans treat pets and animals in general, and how we like kind of just use them for our amusement. But it also is broad enough that it works as an allegory for racism and people thinking they're better than others and treating races like dirt, basically.
It's definitely very surreal and very French.
It is very surreal, and the allegory really works, and the jazz score is actually really kind of mesmerizing, and I found myself really enjoying this, and the surreal animation and the creatures on the
Just
on
the
planet.
design is fascinating.
Some of the creatures are fantastic. This was directed by Rene Laloux, and I'm going to give this one a rental. I think you should check it out if you're if you're really into animation. It's very different, so you're not expecting a Disney movie. This is 73 French animated, but it's a rental. Next one I watched was Ed Wood, but we're going to get into that with our main feature.
We will get into that later with our feature.
And then I watched The Post. I had seen this in the theater, and I rewatched this with my wife, and this is still a really solid movie with a solid cast. Meryl Streep, Tom Hanks, Sarah Paulson, Bob Odenkirk, Bradley Whitford, Bruce Greenwood, Jesse Plemons, David Cross, and Pat Healy, which I don't know where Pat Healy was. I think I missed him. I just didn't recognize him in it. Basically, the New York Times and the Post find out that the government has top secret information that they were sending reporters out to write about how the war was going in Vietnam for decades, like how things in general were going, and it wasn't going well. And so then the presidents continued to lie and lie and lie and lie, but then they had these documents saying, oh, you're lying. And so they posted them in the 70s.
70s, late 60s, early 70s.
It was the Nixon era, because this movie was really a...
I am not a crook.
Nixon hates the Post, apparently, because then...
The Washington Post.
The Washington Post.
Washington Post.
Washington.
It's Steven Spielberg. It's Steven Spielberg.
It's a solid. It's not one of his best, but it's a solid movie.
He puts everything into his movies. So
I'd still give it a little rental. I think it's one that you should see. And then I went and saw Deadpool 2 this week. If you like the first one, I'm just going to say you're going to love this one. And the jokes work just as well as the first one. It was directed by David Leitch, who co-directed John Wick, and he also directed Atomic Blonde. He's also a stuntman. He's been a stuntman for a long time, so lots of good action. Although I'm going to say there's some action scenes at the beginning that I didn't think that I couldn't tell what was going on. It was moving so fast. So like for being an action guy, he kind of didn't direct the action in the beginning very well, but everything else after that was all jokes and fun, and everyone was great. TJ Miller is always funny in these two movies, as well as Karan Soni, who plays Dopinder, the taxi driver. It's Deadpool. It's Deadpool. Yeah. It's a high rental. Go watch it. I laughed till I cried several times.
Don't watch it with your kids, though?
No, definitely not. Don't watch that one with your kids, unless your kids are teenagers, I guess. Then I went, and just like last week, I went to the Late Shift at the Grindhouse, is what the Film Scene Theater calls this, where they show exploitation movies on Wednesday night, and I watched Foxy Brown from 1974, directed by Jack Hill.
Break it down. Ha. Who. He. Have fun editing that.
I'm not even going to try. I'll just leave it all in. Jack Hill directed other classic blaxploitation like Coffee, and then he did Foxy Brown, and then Switchblade Sisters. Then he also did some earlier stuff like Spider Baby.
Huh.
Pam Grier kicks ass. This is a great movie if you're into blaxploitation stuff. This is one of the better ones. A good story, and Pam Grier is great. Antonio Fargas plays her brother, and I looked at his IMDb, and he is in a lot of stuff. And I only noticed because I recently watched Beyond Skyline, the sequel to 2010's Skyline.
Of course, the hit Skyline.
And Antonio Fargas was in that. This also has a young Sid Haig, who I mostly know. I've mostly known him the past, decade or so with Rob Zombie movies as this creepy, balding, he plays Captain Spaulding.
Yeah, Captain Spaulding, the creepy clown guy.
Yeah, and in this he was a drug runner. He was a pilot. It was weird to see him with a full head of hair and like young and a full bushy beard and mustache, and so that was interesting to see him. And then looking at his IMDb, also his filmography, I was shocked to see he's like an exploitation king because he's still doing exploitation stuff.
Hey.
He's been doing it since like the 70s. So
job's a job, right?
Good on him. And so for all you exploitation fans out there, that was another winner. Full rental. A full rental.
For a great double feature with Shaft, right?
Yes. That'd be a great double feature. So those are my picks for this week. And now
we get to our main feature, Bride of the Monster, directed by the wonderful, terrible, nothing quite like Ed Wood, who for a long time held the title of worst movie director of all time.
And you're most going to know him from Plan 9 for Outer Space, which was for the longest time, I don't know if it still is, but was for the longest time considered the worst movie ever made. And I have seen it. It's pretty bad.
But there's something kind of lovable about it, too.
Well, and that's the thing with Ed Wood is that he's this guy who just tried so hard to make a great movie. I mean, and he wanted to be the next Orson Welles, according to the Ed Wood film, which I saw this week. And that was actually my first viewing of Ed Wood.
It's a good movie.
And that was a fantastic movie. I really enjoyed it. I could see that was the start of Johnny Depp being going overboard into his goofy characters.
That and like Edward Scissorhands. So.
Yeah, so, but it was one of his last good collaborations with Tim Burton. But anyway, this movie, Bride of the Monster, is actually a key plot point in Ed Wood, the making of this.
Because if I remember correctly, the movie Ed Wood focuses on Glenn or Glenda, Bride of the Monster, and then Plan 9 from Outer Space.
Yeah, and Plan 9 is just barely touched on at the end because it's more about his relationship with Bela Lugosi, who died before Plan 9 was actually even made. This movie stars Bela Lugosi as Dr. Eric Vornoff. And then this big hulking guy named Tor Johnson.
He was actually a professional wrestler.
Yeah, he's this huge guy, and he must not have been a great talker because he made him silent in this film.
He doesn't say much. Old Tor Johnson, old Tor.
Did he say anything in this movie?
I'm not sure. He had the occasional grunt.
Yeah, I think that's what he was. About all he did was a grunt. There's a main lieutenant played by Tony McCoy, and he got the part because Ed Wood was making this film and he got kicked out of the studio that he was making it in because he ran out of money. So he couldn't finish the film. So he goes to some guy, and he was like a cattle farmer or a cattle something to do with cattle, and he's like, I'll back your movie, but you got to put my boy in as the main lead. So he got the lead, and at the time Ed Wood was dating someone named Dolores Fuller, who has a tiny cameo in this because the story goes that Loretta King gets to play the main character Janet because she promised to back the movie, but then he came to find out that she didn't actually have money, but he was already filming her in the lead, so she got the lead. But I don't think it's in the movie Ed Wood. It's implied that he just got the sense that she had money, but she didn't actually say it. And I don't think that there's actually anybody actually knows whether she tricked him or whether he just accidentally thought she had the money.
So she get this, and then the girlfriend gets you said a cameo, and who else is in the cast?
The only person who's in several of Ed Wood's movies was Paul Marco. He plays this goofy desk cop named Kelton, and he plays the same character in this and Night of the Ghoul and Plan 9 from Outer Space.
So you have your nice trilogy right there.
Yeah, so this is a trilogy based solely on Paul Marco's character of Kelton.
I assume it's just like how Detective John Munch was able to go from the life on the killing streets to also he went from Homicide to Law and Order to SVU and even showed up on the X-Files once.
I'm not familiar with most of those shows.
Well, Detective John Munch, he's one of the few actors and characters who was able to cross networks as well as the shows. Anyway,
All right. So what's this about? What's your snowball pitch, as it were?
my snowball pitch is that I take a bunch of like 1950s science fiction and like tropes and horror tropes, and kind of write them all down on a piece of paper. Put the piece of paper in a blender, put some like ice cream and then root beer in said blender, blend it all up, and then drink it, and then puke it up, and that's kind of what we have.
That sounds like a great movie.
Yes.
Yeah. So we've got a monster. I don't know where Bride of the Monster comes, because this title doesn't come into play at all in this movie. I really don't think.
Well, there is a monster.
There is a
And then there is a bride.
A quote unquote monster. Is she really a bride though?
I don't know. I assume they get married. Anyway.
Well, we start out with a lightning storm because that's how all great old monster movies start.
And you watched this on what? Amazon Prime?
Yes, this is on Amazon Prime.
It's like what, an hour?
Yeah, 60 or 70 minutes.
It's a short movie.
So it's not going to take up too much of your time.
Mm-hmm. And I watched the Mystery Science Theater 3000 version because I could.
Okay. I watched the Amazon version, which actually was in color. And I usually hate that, and I don't think that it really... This is so low budget that I don't think it really like detracted or added to it.
It takes away a lot of the darker shadows and the deeper kind of
yeah
low light photography that they use, right?
and all that stock footage that he put in here.
And all that stock footage of the octopus.
Yeah, so speaking of the octopus, we got like two cops out in the rain, and they're going to this old abandoned... It's supposed to be an abandoned house there or something. And
And
they knock on the door, and
mad
Lugosi's
scientist
there.
Bela Lugosi just happens to live there.
He's like, get out of here.
I am mad scientist, leave.
And then he goes through his fireplace to his lab, and the lab is like, it's got like a brick wall in the back, but it's just like that painted on brick wall that like
nice.
Just looks like you can tell is cardboard. And then all of these electrical equipment that they're like, oh, go to different sets and like just see anything that looks electrical,
like this Tesla coil or whatever,
and has buttons. Put it against the cardboard wall there.
Nice.
And he looks through this thing, and he looks at this octopus in a tank there. And I think it cuts to stock footage for the octopus.
Yes, I think the octopus is almost all stock footage.
And the two men are in the rain, and one falls into the octopus pit because apparently like this must be under the house, because then they're going around. They must have gone around behind the house, because then I don't even know the geography of this landscape.
Someone should diagram this.
If someone could watch this movie...
Someone takes a topographical map of everything.
It shows me where the pit is in relation to the house, because he falls in and struggles with the octopus, and they didn't have the effects for it, so he just kind of grabs the octopus.
And this is a rubber octopus, so you just
no!
It's like when you were a kid, you used to pretend that you were being attacked by some like toy, so then you would just kind of control it like it was attacking.
Grabbing its arms, and he's getting attacked by an octopus, and the other guy starts shooting it like a million times. He's just shooting, shoot. Your friend is there. Like he didn't even seem to be aiming at anything.
Just vaguely shooting it.
And the guy gets I think the guy who was shooting gets caught by Lobo, who is Tor Johnson, the big guy, and he's got like a big scar on his cheek. And he takes him down, and Lugosi has him tied up, and he goes...
Lobo's kind of the Igor of the film.
And this is where we get the plot of Lugosi is trying to use atomic energy to create a superior, powerful, larger atomic Superman. And he says...
his budget is $6 million, I assume.
It must be.
Yes, he wants to make a $6 million man.
That was right over my head.
Oh, come on.
I should have caught that one. Now I feel like a fool. I'm going to edit that out. Or not. So he ties up the guy on the bench, and he says, "You're going to become bigger and stronger, or you'll end up dead like the rest."
He ends up dead, doesn't he?
He ends up dead.
Okay.
And then we get like the newspaper thing.
Yeah, the newspaper thing, and then
where it says the monster has struck again.
Oh no!
And we go to the police station where Kelso's out in the front, and Kelton is out in the front, and the captain is in his office playing with a little bird on his glasses.
As you do.
Because
that's what cops did in the 50s.
And I have some dialogue written here. This is, again, my note-taking.
Mm-hmm.
I write the dialogue, but I don't write the context.
What's the...
Because it was just really funny. Someone says, tell him to let me go.
Kelton,
let her go. And it was just like that, like, monotone.
So you're saying is that you could have been in this film with your caliber of acting?
I just listened to this podcast and how well I'm doing here. I could have been an actor. So
I could have been a contender.
I could have been somebody instead of a nobody, which is what I am. Oh, instead of a bum.
Instead of a bum, yeah, come on.
Get it right.
You gotta do your On the Waterfront.
And here's where it gets me, is that people are disappearing from this town. So the automatic assumption is that it's a monster.
Yep. I guess they've just been, monster strikes again. So this has been happening for, I'm going to say, at least a few months, and people are just unconcerned.
And Janet Lawton, played by Loretta King, she comes in, and she's
Ace reporter Janet Lawton.
Ace reporter Janet Lawton is coming in and talking about her monster stories and how the monster strikes again. And she decides, well, I'm just going to have to go out to the marsh myself.
Yeah, because I'm a strong modern woman. I'm a strong independent woman who don't need no man.
Because you don't believe my monster stories.
I'm going to have to go prove the monster myself, dang it.
Well, so that's going to end well, right?
And then she's rescued by her friend Clark Kent and then her other friend Jimmy Olsen.
Yeah. Funny how they always show up.
Wow. Well, you need a photographer whenever you're on assignment, so.
Yeah, so she goes back and looks through some old newspapers at the newspaper place, and
the newspaper place?
The newspaper place, whatever they call those.
The newsroom,
The newsroom, you might say. Well, she goes to the file room in there.
Okay.
And she's going through like a bunch of old papers. I'm not even sure what she's looking for. But then she finds about Bela Lugosi renting this house. I'm not sure if her search.
It was kind of like, they have like in the Sunday paper they announce things like, engagements or births or,
Strange scientist buys house.
Strange scientist buys house. It's more like a slice of life feature, like a lifestyle feature where they interviewed.
Tonight at 6.
I assume it was like they went into a seated, like he gave them a nice tour. That's sort of what I assume.
Yeah.
Welcome to the neighborhood. One of those those mail-ins they give you and and you just immediately throw away.
Well, whatever she found enough to decide to go out to the marsh on her own. And this is the small cameo by Ed Wood's girlfriend Dolores. She runs into her in the hallway, and Dolores basically says, "Boss has been looking for you." She says a couple more lines, but that's essentially her role.
Solid. You can build a career after that.
Then we go back to the captain and Dick. Dick is the lieutenant, Lieutenant Dick Craig. Tony McCoy. I'm TV's Tony McCoy.
I'm TV's Tony McCoy.
You may remember me as such films as. They're talking to a professor, played by George Beckwar, and the professor is talking about Loch Ness and how he's following these monster stories, and then he
realize they may all seem fake to you, but there's more than meets the eye, or something or other.
And now there's this monster story. Where are we?
Somewhere in
the United States.
In the United States. I'm going to say California way, because that's where it was filmed. Or there's also a swamp nearby, so maybe Mississippi.
We'll call it somewhere in the North American region.
In the continental United States. That ought to narrow it down.
So they're talking about that, and the professor is going to be sent out with Lieutenant Dick to investigate.
Lieutenant Dick, you got new legs!
Lieutenant Dick! Lieutenant Dick!
Anyway.
Well, then we go back to Janet, who's running off to the marsh and the woods and whatever.
The marsh in the woods.
The marsh in the woods. She gets a flat tire and runs into a tree. And then there's a snake in the tree because we need her to faint.
I guess so.
And then Lobo shows up because he just wandered. He's always out there, where anybody is. He's just there.
He likes to take walks.
He does.
Maybe he was out having a smoke.
He shows up
doesn't want to get the smoke in the house, so he's just on a smoke break, walking around, enjoying a cigarette.
Break. Oh, wait, he just grunts. So he's here to witness this accident, and I think the snake was stock footage too.
And I assume that he calls the police, he lets them know, calls an ambulance.
He calls animal control.
Calls animal control about the snake. And then now everything gets back together. Lobo and Janet meet. They have a nice meet cute. They go on a few dates. They get married, and that's the Bride of the Monster.
That would make so much more sense with the title.
I just solved this movie. I figured it out.
Well, but instead of that, he grabs the snake and whacks it against a tree.
As you do.
And then he picks up the fainted Janet, and then we cut to her waking up on Lugosi's couch. And, Lugosi, what's he famous for? I don't know.
I assume it was for this film.
But his second most famous role is got to be Dracula.
I was going to say when he played, probably Dracula.
A real-life drug addict.
Yes, that too.
Well, because of his Dracula thing, and that's what he's known for, he's a scientist in this. And yet, when she wakes up, he does his little creepy hand waving thing. And yes, you can't see this because it's a podcast, but he does his little hand wave. You are getting sleepy.
So she gets sleepy,
and she falls asleep again. I was like, you're not Dracula. You're a scientist.
Yeah, well, he's using the power of science.
Okay. I suppose hypnosis is a science, right?
Science is power.
Science.
Thank you.
So she falls back asleep, and then Dick and Marty are in the swamp in the morning.
Doc and Marty?
Doc and Marty. This is heavy. Whoa.
Marty, we gotta go to the swamp to save Jennifer. If only.
We've got to go back in time.
It's your kids, Marty. Anyway.
And Dick and Marty. That's the new comedy duo in the police force.
Mm-hmm. Rick and Morty.
Is that where they got it from?
I assume so.
It's a cross of Doc and Marty and Dick and Marty and
Anyway.
Rick and Morty. Ta-da.
I figured it out.
I
solved it.
Dick was supposed to go out with the professor, but he's out with another detective, Marty. And they find Janet's car, and they have a little discussion, and then we cut to the professor out on his own. It's like, who's what?
So I think what happened is that Dick and Marty rode out together. They didn't tell the professor, so he called an Uber.
Okay.
And he Ubered his way out there.
Maybe he got Dopinder, the taxi driver.
Yes, maybe. Yes, the same taxi driver from Deadpool, because Bride of the Monster is in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Confirmed, Lobo's going to be in the next Avengers film. He will get the Infinity
Lobo
Stones.
Is a DC?
That's this Lobo. Tor Johnson will be in the next Marvel film.
Okay. I'll take it. Is he still alive?
No.
Okay.
He's been dead for a long time.
This movie's old, folks.
Anyway.
But I digress. Dick and Marty, they find the car, and then they run to the diner, and it's raining because it's always raining in this movie. And they call the captain, and he's like, I don't know where Janet is. I don't know where
she was with you.
I don't know where the professor is.
I don't. Nobody tells me nothing. If only.
So they're ordered to find the professor, which they should have been with in the first place, but that's beside the point. Janet wakes up in the lab again, gets all scared of Lobo because he's all hovering.
Hovering.
And Lugosi, he's a scientist and a lion tamer because he's got his lion tamer whip and whips Lobo and says, get out of here. Get! This is my prisoner. They talk, and he does his Dracula thing again. And the professor shows up the house, and this is where it just becomes like a free-for-all, anybody can just walk. But
people just kind of walk in and out.
Hey, this house in the woods.
It's kind of like how, when you were a kid, everyone would always go to that one friend's house, you and all your friends, and they just the door was always unlocked, so you just kind of walk in and say, hi, Mom, and then...
It's unlocked. Come on in.
Exactly.
That's an invitation way to.
We're a place where everybody knows your name. It's like Cheers.
If you don't lock your door, that means people can just come in, right?
Exactly. That's what happens.
So the professor goes in, and then Lugosi comes out of his lab, and they see each other, and they know each other.
And then they just start making out. Hard.
It's been so long.
I've missed you so much.
Doc. It turns out the doctor was banished from his home country 20 years ago because he wanted to create Atomic Superman.
He's still on that? Took him 20 years, hasn't gotten it done yet.
He's still killing people in his lab.
You
would think he'd give up on this.
I guess.
Now.
It's apply for a grant or a new project.
It's a failure, Lugosi. You're done. Well, the government ordered the professor to bring him back, and that's why the professor has been following all these monsters, because finding monsters is going to find the person who's trying to make an atomic Superman, right?
Your logic is flawless.
Okay, sounds good. So he finds him, and he's ordered to bring him back, so he pulls a gun on Lugosi, but this is where this towering, lumbering Lobo comes in, and he sneaks up on everybody. Mm-hmm. The professor pulls a gun, and Lobo comes up behind him, just like, oh, I didn't hear this 8-foot man come up behind me.
He's just like Jason Voorhees. He can just appear.
and he knocks out the professor. Like, you didn't hear. Those are some. That was an old house. It looked like there had to have been some creaks in that flat. There is no way.
Lobo's been doing this long enough where he knows where every board is. Kind of like how you know where every squeaky board is.
Not that one. Not that one.
He just sneak.
So he gets the jump on him, and he takes him to the lab, and they throw him in with the octopus because
Because we got the rubber octopus and
we got an octopus.
We got to use this thing.
Because I believe that it really was that Ed Wood had the stock footage for the octopus. Is like, we got to use this.
Might as well, right?
So and then story goes that they stole the rubber octopus from.
But they did actually. It was borrowed. They paid.
It was borrowed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is not as good of a story, but whatever.
Well, they had to embellish for the movie. Mm-hmm. We go back to Dick and Marty finding the professor's car, and then Dick goes off on his own because you gotta separate all the time, and he falls into quicksand. So we got quicksand, we got octopuses. Oh wait, there's an alligator coming.
Of course.
We have big snakes, alligators, octopuses.
I mean, this house has just a whole zoo around it.
And you know what else we have? A revolver with 8 bullets in it.
8 bullets? Must be a new design.
Dick shoots at the alligator 8 times with his 6-shooter, and then he gets out, and continuity guy where was he on this moment? Oh wait, where was he on the whole movie?
Yeah, it's okay.
And he makes it out and runs away. So that was just let's show a quicksand scene.
Like, well, we have this alligator footage. You might as well throw it in too.
Then we go back to the captain, and he goes to the newspaper to look for Janet, and he finds the file clerk there, and he's like, "Where's Janet?" "I don't know." Do you know where she?
Yeah.
I ain't telling you. She was like a feisty, snappy old lady. She was kind of great. What do you want, Captain? This is my room.
I'm busy.
So he finally gets the information, and we go back to the lab, and the doctor waves his hands again, his little Dracula hands.
Dracula hands? Is that what we're calling it?
We're calling it Dracula hands. And Lawton comes in. What's her face? Janet Lawton comes in wearing this pretty dress. And Lobo, this is a key point actually that I missed. When he finds her passed out of the car, did you notice he grabs her Angora wool hat and sniffs it? So then he's holding it, so he's got this Angora wool foot fetish.
Hey, it's a thing.
Oh, it's like Ed Wood.
At least in the film.
In the film. Who knows if he really had that, but apparently, because then they used that in the movie also, this movie, because that's also when she comes in the dress, he pulls out the hat because he's still got it. So he's got feelings for this girl.
He's kind of a texture guy. He really is very tactile.
I like how it feels on my skin. I mean,
exactly.
And this is another one where Dick shows up and he just walks into, and Lobo is downstairs with the doctor, and he doesn't want to strap Lawton to the table.
Why not?
Because of the wool hat.
It is a really nice hat.
You have a really nice hat. That means I like you.
Therefore.
So he gets whipped by the doctor again.
Oh, that's not cool. We are part of the people for ethical treatment of Lobos.
Well, Lobos, he's just a gentle giant.
Mm-hmm. He's like the Jolly Green Giant.
Oh, and so upstairs, Dick is rummaging around, rummaging, and he finds the notes on the doctor, and then the entrance to the lab opens up behind the fireplace. Oh, what is this? Doctor says we come back to Doctor, and he finally gets Lobo out of the room, and
come on,
get with his whip.
Exactly.
Get out of here, big oaf. And he tells Lawton that you will become the bride of the atom.
So she's marrying a guy named Adam?
Yes, the bride of Adam.
The Atom.
The Atom.
Adam Driver?
Ray Palmer? Ray Palmer.
Ray Palmer? That Adam? Nice.
That Adam. Well, that's the original title of the movie.
Of course.
The Bride of the Atom. Which I suppose makes more sense because he's working with atomic energy.
He's making atomic Superman.
There is no monster. It's an octopus. And no one's marrying the octopus.
There's not a Mrs. Octopus?
No Mrs. Octopus.
There should be.
And then Dick comes in with the gun because he found the lab. And then who gets the jump on him?
Lobo the Sneaky.
Lobo the Sneaky. And he gets knocked out by Lobo. He is so and very, very sneaky.
Lobo is actually a trained ninja.
He's the largest
He's an assassin. Well, there was a Beverly Hills Ninja.
There was. he was
So
a
I
large
assume
ninja.
he taught Chris Farley everything.
So he gets knocked out by Lobo. So everybody's knocked out or on a table or tied up or whatever. And the chief and the other police, including Kelton, are running gags throughout these three movies. And they meet
He
Mark.
ties everything in. He is the Infinity Stones of the Ed Wood verse.
Is the glue that holds the Woodverse together.
Exactly.
He is the wood glue.
The wood glue, you might say.
They find Marty out in the woods, so he must have been wandering this whole time.
I guess he went for a walk.
He's like, this is such a nice night.
I guess he's bird watching, I assume.
I hear Dick off in the distance screaming about being in quicksand, but I'll just wander.
That's what you do.
And we cut back, and Dick's chained to the wall, and Lobo shuts off the light and pulls out the wool hat and attacks the doctor. He's like, "You're not gonna hurt this girl."
It's all because of my hat.
He loves that hat. And
it is a really nice hat.
And Lobo, we find out, is a Superman himself, I believe, because he gets shot point blank by the doctor like 17 times in the chest. And he just it doesn't stop.
Takes it?
He just takes it and beats up the doctor and gets Lawton off of there. And he straps the doctor into the machine.
Oh, no.
And then Dick and Lobo have a fight. Well, you would think that, he's rescuing him, but no, he's just going to beat up everybody.
What a jerk.
And he ties the doctor to the thing. Lobo, this big lumbering, he looks like a big dummy in this movie, like he doesn't know what's going on. And he goes and pushes all these buttons with the doctor on the table.
He's been taking notes.
The doctor's been doing this for 20 years and has not created Atomic Superman. And then Lobo puts the doctor on there and pushes a bunch of buttons. And then all of a sudden the doctor comes out like...
I assume that Lobo is actually the real... He got his doctorate. He took sort of a correspondence class.
He's the real brains of this operation.
He's the real brains of the operations. That is the twist of this movie.
Well, because the doctor breaks his bindings off on the table, and he gets in a fight with Lobo and actually knocks Lobo out.
Not Lobo.
And then he drags Lawton out of the burning lab, and he's running through the woods with Janet Lawton. And the cops are all shooting at him, because there's not a girl in his arms.
The movie.
Well, actually, I think he drops the girl and runs once he sees the cops, so they're okay to shoot.
Oh man, the cops!
The cop, it's the fuzz. Get rid of this body.
Exactly.
So he throws her away and runs up a hill and
you'll never catch me alive, coppers. Pulled out his Tommy gun.
How many cops were there? There's 5 or 6 cops. They're all shooting at him. Nobody hits him.
Well, they're Keystone cops. That's the problem.
That's true. But it's just set in the 30s. All cops in the 30s were terrible shots.
Yep.
And they were all slapstick comedians. So
and then Bela Lugosi gets tied to a railroad tracks.
There's an evil mustache twirling villain.
If only.
But they can't hit him with bullets. So he's running down a hill. And so since the bullets are too small to hit the doctor with, Dick gets up behind this giant boulder and rolls it over the doctor.
Whatever works.
And the doctor falls into the octopus pit. And then, I think this is, according to the movie Ed Wood, he wanted to make the movie end with the doctor dying in this, but then the backer of the movie, McCoy, said he's all against atomic energy and all this, so he goes, no, we got to have him die.
Dr. Bones McCoy?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, so Bones McCoy.
He wants the doctor to die in an atomic explosion as his comeuppance. So he's wrestling an octopus, and, how you do, just grab the arms and wave them around like you just don't care.
Mm-hmm.
Edit that out.
Keep it in.
And then all of a sudden lightning strikes him.
This is President Noah calling Future Kyle. Future Kyle.
Keep it in.
Keep it in.
Check. And lightning strikes because it's still raining here. It's been raining for days.
Days, even though this whole thing takes place over a couple of nights or something. I don't know.
I lost track.
Internal time is hard.
It took place over 60 minutes. And lightning hits, and all of a sudden the cops are standing around and they look, and then we get stock footage of an atomic mushroom cloud. And
then we'll meet again. Don't know where.
I
don't
really
know
wish
when.
it would have come back to the cops like with marshmallows on its neck.
That'd be amazing.
Because I'm not sure how they survived this atomic blast.
The same way that they survived the quicksand, the alligator, Lobo, and the octopus.
They avoided all those things. I
That's
don't know
true.
how you avoid an atomic blast.
Well, you do by it being a virtue of a movie.
Well, the captain, anyway, gets the final line of the movie, and it's a great final
And it
line.
says it was beauty that killed the beast.
It was the beast that blew up
The octopus.
No, we got the line, he tampered in God's domain. The end.
I mean, what more do you end on? It's either that or forget it, Jake, it's Chinatown.
It's Chinatown. That's the second best ending.
After this one?
After this one.
Okay.
So that is
That
Bride
was
the
our
Monster.
That was our movie.
Oh, what did you think overall? Well, you didn't watch the real movie. You watched.
I watched the better version with Mystery Science Theater 3000 because who doesn't want a guy and two robots making a movie better?
Although I have to say I enjoy it just because I like Lugosi. I thought he did.
He doesn't sleepwalk through this film.
No, but he makes everyone else sleepwalk. You are getting
I get it. Yes.
I thought he played a good Dracula in this movie. He was fun to watch.
Dr. Acula.
Dr. Acula.
Yeah. All right. So now we're back trying to figure out what we want to do next, and what do we want to do for a genre?
Do we want to do science fiction?
Sure.
Fantasy?
How about let's do. I'm gonna say science fiction because there's always a good science fiction movie.
All right, let's give this thing a spin.
Okay, here we go. Spin to win. Spin to win. Sorry, something went wrong. Let's try it again. You gotta fix it.
I gotta fix it.
Kyle, you gotta fix it.
This will be edited out.
This will be edited in.
Refresh.
Alright, so now we're doing this again. For reals this time. Science fiction. Spin to win. Oh no.
Oh no. Oh no.
We got the Matrix Revolutions.
Oh no.
With really sweaty people dancing.
Oh, join us next week for the Matrix Revolutions.
Oh man, this is an experience. I've never seen any of the Matrix films, so this will be, and this is on Hulu, so.
For all of you who want to watch it ahead of time, I don't know who you are, but it is on Hulu, and we'll see you next week.
All right, have a good one.